Hi, my name is Bridget O'Brien, and this is my peer interview presentation. I had the pleasure of interviewing my classmate, Terry Leary. I was able to find out a good amount of information about her. Her mother is Caucasian, and her father is African American, and she is one of 4 children in her family, and she also has children of her own. She currently lives in New Jersey but works in New York. She works for the Department of Education as a special ed teacher. And she also provides ABA therapy in a house client setting. The culture groups that she identifies with is applied behavior analysis, since she is a therapist and she's currently in an ABA master's program and hopes to become a BCBA. She also identifies as a special ed educator since, as I said, she works for the Department of Education as a teacher, and she's also a parent to her children. Some culture characteristics. As an African American woman, they are often viewed as strong, independent, outspoken, and advocate for themselves. She said, as a white woman, they are viewed as submissive. And from her culture background, education, it is naturally expected that you pursue college and even a higher degree in college. And in her culture background, disability is becoming more open-minded and accepted. It used to not be. She said that it used to not be talked about and there weren't many resources, but now that people are being open-minded about it and accepted, there are more resources in the community. Some barriers that Terry went over, being biracial, not many people know her ethnicity, and some people will ask, or she says a lot of people also assume. Sometimes she has experienced that people will come up to her speaking Spanish because she is light-skinned, and she's not sure what they are saying because she does not speak Spanish, but she has been in situations where people have been offended that she did not know Spanish. And sometimes people will also assume that she's just African American, that she's not also Caucasian. And then people are sometimes surprised when she says that she is African American. And she has been told sometimes, like, oh, like, I didn't, like, you don't act like you're African American. And she says that is a hard barrier because everyone acts a different way. Like, not everyone is the same and like-minded. As I said, her complexion is a barrier for her. As I said, her mom's side of the family is white and her dad's side is African American. And so for the white side of the family, she said that she was too dark and that she didn't fit in. And her mom's side of the family was not very accepting, and she did not see too much of her mom's side of the family. And then on her dad's side of the family, everyone was dark-skinned African American, so she was too light for that side of the family, and they weren't as welcoming to her and her siblings compared to other family members. Another barrier that she's viewed differently, as I said, she's biracial, so she doesn't completely fit in with the Caucasian side or the African American side. And also, she mentioned that she has a half-sister on her mom's side who is fully Caucasian, so when they are all out together in public, people will assume that her fully Caucasian sister is the mom's daughter, but then they will ask how Terry is related to her mother, since she is light-skinned and her mother is fully Caucasian. How Terry overcomes these barriers, I thought was very powerful, her mindset. She says growing up in her household, she's able to compartmentalize a lot of things, and she doesn't take a lot of things to heart, which I think is great of her to do. And also, she likes to be educated. She likes to make her own decisions and not be on the bandwagon. And even with being educated, Terry said that she likes to conduct her own research if she is unaware of something, or even if she can educate other people and bring more awareness to the topic. And also, I thought the most powerful out of everything that she said was to be a leader. And to be a leader, she thinks making her own decisions outside what is expected from her, even from the people in her family might expect her to think a certain way or make a certain decision, but she said that she does not let that control or play a role in how she feels and what she thinks. Some commonly held misconceptions. She said, as an American, we are often seen as life is easy, that we're lazy, and that we're also entitled. People in other cultures, in other countries, they do not see the struggles that Americans go through. They just assume that we have it easy, that we don't have to work hard for what we have. And honestly, Americans have it. It takes a lot of effort to sustain yourself in society. And as an African American, she said misconception is that they are all like-minded, and she says that she's often struggled with this in her own family, because since they think that all family members should stick together and think alike, but she doesn't believe in jumping on the bandwagon. She thinks that she should stand up for her own beliefs, even if her family members do not agree with it, or other people in her community do not agree with it. Some characteristics of the work environment that Terry expressed were important to her were respect and being goal-oriented. Terry believes that respect is a foundation for a lot of the things in a workplace. Having respect, you're able to work with your coworkers, you are able to collaborate, you are, even if you don't like your coworkers or anything, you're still able to work towards a goal and help your clients, your students, wherever your work setting may be. And she thought in a work setting, it is important to be goal-oriented, especially in the field of ABA. We all have the goal of bettering the lives of the clients we work with and their families, and I think it takes a team, and so does Terry. She thinks it takes a team to all see a client succeed. Some discrimination that Terry has faced in her life is in the work environment. She was referring to her school when she was saying this. There are a few minorities in the education system. She says that there was about 50 employees and staff members at her school where she worked, and she said about 6 minorities in her work setting. And then in her ABA therapist job, when she goes into clients' homes, they are sometimes surprised that she is not fully Caucasian, and she says at times that they are relieved that she is also a minority. And she said that it's also sometimes she's taken back when her clients tell her things like this. And then another discrimination, as I mentioned a little bit before, was being biracial. Both sides of her family were not accepting that she was biracial, so she felt like she didn't fully fit on her mom's side of the family, and she didn't fully fit on her dad's side of the family. And also being biracial, a lot of people assume a lot, or they judge just her by her looks. Some additional topics that we went over was mental health, and I think we started going over mental health from, I think I brought it up, saying in an Irish American family, mental health is not always talked about, and then we went on to say how Terry's culture views it, and I thought it was interesting to see the difference. In Terry's family, she said it is a lot more open and talked about. Another topic that we talked about during our interview was being forthcoming. I found that Terry was not always comfortable with answering some of the questions, and that made me take the information and think of the work environment, how someone, you may just be able to tell they're uncomfortable by body language. They might not always say how they're feeling or something's making them uncomfortable, just to so they're not rude. And we also went into comparing and contrasting how our cultures used to be when our parents were kids, but now, and how it's changed now, and how it's kind of getting better. Making use of this information, I think I will be more self-aware, as I said before, when Terry wasn't always comfortable answering some of the questions. That makes me think of how others may feel when these questions or situations arise. By being self-aware, this also makes me more open-minded, and in the workplace, I'm always respectful, but I think even more now, when I'm being self-aware, I could be doing things that I'm not sure of, but now that I could just be even more respectful. And that concludes my presentation.